Oh, hey, we're live everywhere except for Facebook. Just trying to get that to actually start. Come on, Facebook, you can do it. And we're live in Facebook. Hooray. Now, I understand what some of those streamers are talking about sometimes, and they're like, I had to jump through all the hoops to get my stream to go live. And they're like, that's why we're quiet for like the first bit, because it's not actually up everywhere yet. All right. So I'm just gonna pop this open and do a little everyone post, and then we'll get this show on the road. We had a fabulous vacation up in the mountains of New Hampshire, and I'm kind of jonesing to go back, to be honest. I mean, I am and I'm not. I like home. I like our house. I like our ease of access to things, but at the same time, like I like being a little bit further away from all the things. So like, being just be able to hike out in the backyard kind of thing. Like there's trails in the backyard going up a mountain and whatnot. Like that's like quality stuff. That's my favorite. All right, get to the group. Got a couple people in. Let me just get the everyone post. Add everyone. Add everyone. Back from vacation. Talking about a great summer of writing and marketing our books. There we go. Join in. Hey, Wufia, how are you this morning? So I know some of you who maybe live in other places, you're like, Mallory, there are no mountains in the Northeast. Haven't you seen the Rocky Mountains? And yes, I have seen the Rocky Mountains. I grew up on the Canadian prairies where it's just a 5-hour drive to Banff. And so we were up there all the time. And yes, those are craggier, younger peaks, but the New Hampshire mountains are not to be underestimated. They go above the tree line, they're older and worn down, but they're legit. And the valley's a little more smoothed out, but there's some good fun drives up in them. They're crazy bits. They're not as long as, say, you're driving down Route 3 in Canada, and you go into the Okanagan or something like that. There are some crazy stretches of that, but I feel like they're less crazy than they used to be. But they've got Mount Washington up in New Hampshire, which is only like a little bit over a mile high, but it like starts not that far above sea level, so it's a lot of mountains sticking up out of the ground. And you're like, oh, when I first heard, I'm like, I can't be that big a mountain. They have a road going to the top of it because they made a road going to the top of Mount Washington. What I later learned is people in New Hampshire are just insane, and they made a road to the top of a mountain, um, and no other sane group of people would have done that. And they did it back in the days of like wagons and horses and stuff. It's legit. And the really crazy things, it's fine while you're driving up through the trees, but when you come out of the trees on Mount Washington and you're on a ridge line, like you're driving up a ridge line, which can be kind of windy, and there's nothing in your peripheral vision because it's every direction is there's the road going up and every other direction is down. It's actually kind of harrowing. And then there's one spot where it's gravel. So you're like a mile up on a mountain on a gravel road that is not quite wide enough for two cars to pass each other. And then one time we were going up the road and part of that gravel road was washed out. So it was down to one lane traffic. And there are like 1,000 cars on the mountain. So yeah, it's legit. It's a legit mountain. It's there to make you sad. Hey, Eilina, how are you doing today? We've got a few people here. Not bad for first time back. I think it's been 3 weeks since I've done a lunch with Mal because of vacation and scheduling and stuff. But here I am. And it's Jill. Hi, Jill. But yeah, we had a really good restorative vacation. And, sometimes I feel like I look at vacations and I'm like, this is taking away from me being able to be doing the things I need to do. It's a distraction, but it's not. It's recharging and refreshing and good just to spend some time away from everything that's always around you and kind of reset where you want to be and what your goals are, stuff like that. And Jill and I have been doing some of that too, thinking about our business and how we're helping authors and working with authors and what we can do differently. So some of that's going to be coming down the pike, and we'll be talking about that more later. But it's overall, been it was good. And overall, I think there's some cool things we plan on doing with authors as well. Hey, Emma, how are you doing? And one of the things we want to do is we want to be a little bit more holistic, a little bit less focused on just improving ads and more about like how can we improve the entire package? Because a lot of times we work with authors and we sit down, we look at their books, and we're like, well, there's two different groups. One of them, we sit down and look at their books, and we're like, your books aren't ready for us to advertise yet. I'm sorry, we can't work with you. Which happens more often than not. We actually turn away more potential clients that we take in. And a lot of it's just because like we're not cheap, so we want to work with authors who we have the best chance of like really propelling them forward. Um, and but the other angle is like there are things we could do to help, and how can we do that? How can we like make that available for authors starting out in their careers, so they can get access to all the information they need to help accelerate? Because there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of, I'm not gonna say disinformation out there, just like people who don't have quite enough perspective to be able to give good advice. There's a lot of that, and it's so hard to tell who has been around long enough and has seen enough to know what works and what doesn't. And then everybody's version of what's successful is different too. Some people will say, I did this thing and it worked great, but to them worked great is maybe sold 40 copies, and to someone who's selling 40 copies a day, they're like, well, that's normal. That won't move the needle for me, and so that much effort wouldn't be worth it. So that's the sort of thing that I think really matters, is understanding, like what's actually useful information and what's not. And I feel like that's one angle where we have at least a good view on things, because we work with so many authors, we see so many things that we can sort of say like, this is actually a trend we see across many authors, and this is just sort of like happening only in one genre, or it's just sort of like it worked for you, but it generally doesn't work, and it's not like advice that we would generally give out. Oh, you're very welcome, Alina. Yeah. The best times to release are really important, and I sent it directly, but I'll say it again because I feel like it can't be stated enough, that there are times when you don't want to do releases, and there are times when the releases are optimal, and some of them are a little bit not intuitive. So right now we're coming out of one of the bad times. The end of June, beginning of July has a lot of upheaval in people's life, and upheaval means they're less likely to read. Kids are getting out of school, that family vacations are starting up, but maybe a lot of summer camps haven't started yet. So maybe the grandparents, uncles, other family members that maybe would be doing a bunch of reading because they're a little bit older, their kids aren't away. Maybe they're watching kids, or the kids have gone to visit them, or something like that. This time of year is where like a lot of the summer activities have actually kind of kicked off, and that first rush of like, oh my God, it's summer, we have to get away from here. Kind of vacation rush is gone, and people sort of settle into a summer routine from this week through to about the third week of August. So we have about 5 weeks right now, give or take a bit, of stability. It can be a good time for like pushing out some summer reads, or just doing a really big sale. Be like, hey, you want to read, you want to hang out in the backyard or on the beach and read books this year? I just dumped all my books down to 99 cents, or something crazy like that. Like I've actually done that before. Never all of my books, but I've taken as many as like 50 books and pushed them down to 99 cents just to suck in new readers. And then by the time they actually, they're not going to go buy my entire backlist at 99 cents. By the time they're done book 1 or book 2, that maybe they've grabbed those at 99 cents, boom, the rest, everything's back up to full price. And now they're going to read in KU, or they're going to buy. So you can do things like that. Like this is a great time to leverage this time of year and push some opportunities and sales and stuff. But once we get around the third week of August until about the first or second week of September, I recommend not doing releases in that time frame, because we're back in that upheaval. School's starting, people are trying to get that last Labor Day vacation in. People are driving their kids to college, taking a little bit of time off of work. Things are all over the place, and you really don't want to be releasing when things are all over the place. Sort of like in that fashion. There's other times where things are kind of all over the place where it does work. So once you get past about the second week of September, then you're good. By the way, my personal preference for releases has always been right before the weekend or on the weekend, kind of depending on how I want to do things. Because the best time for newsletter opens is Sunday and Monday. People open newsletters the most on Sunday, and then you catch those follow-up people who have your newsletter going to their work address. They see it Monday morning. So you can do really well if you release, Saturday, make sure all the kinks are ironed out, and then do your big push to your newsletter on Sunday, and a little bit of follow-up Monday. That's generally the best time, which is also one of the reasons why like Labor Day is terrible, because that's a long weekend. And in general, you want to avoid long weekends, and especially 4-day weekends. Don't release in the vicinity of a 4-day weekend. If like July 4th this year fell on was it a Tuesday or a Thursday? Something I forget. It was a Thursday. So it made a 4-day weekend, and you don't want to do a release around that 4-day weekend because people are totally in a holiday mind. Now, maybe like the weekend before, like the Monday before might be good, but you wouldn't want to get closer to that 4-day weekend than that. And then things are actually pretty good into as we go into fall, unless you're in like a really trad heavy genre. Trad dumps about, I've heard some people say as high as 90%, but it looks like at least 80% of trad pub comes out in October because they want to get all their bestseller tags in time for Christmas. So it's oftentimes not great to release in October if you're very trad heavy. If you're not in a trad heavy genre, then it's not a big deal. And then the week of and the week after American Thanksgiving is also bad, and partially just because of advertising costs are high, but also people are just really busy. Now, the interesting thing is, if your readership is primarily male, it's actually kind of okay. If your readership is primarily female, then it doesn't work out as well, because we still live in a society where on a holiday like American Thanksgiving, when we're doing a bit more of the work, preparing meals, getting ready for everybody coming over, and guys don't do quite as much work. Because I see it, my audience is primarily male. For me, American Thanksgiving Day is a spike in reads, and if you're writing like romance, you're actually going to see American Thanksgiving generally as a dip in reads. So it is what it is, right? And then, but then after that, from there up into Christmas, it's like go whole hog. Release 2 things in December. I very frequently, I wouldn't say almost always, but very frequently release something on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. As like Christmas present for you, a new book. And they do great, especially because that week after Christmas is a dead week. It's like not no one, but very few people work a lot during that week. Like even if you work, unless you're working retail, obviously, or in the food industry, then it's kind of crazy. But for anybody working like in an office, if you even are going to work, you're not working that much. And a lot of people are like taking part of that week off or something like that. So that's a great week. And then come January 1st, advertising costs drop to the floor because all of the end of year ads and the cost per click goes down dramatically. And those first 3 weeks of January can be really good for getting a lot of new readers sucked in. People got those Amazon gift cards they're looking to spend, all that jazz. And then kind of like there's some lumps and bumps throughout spring. February is generally a pretty low month. And, I don't know that I would do like a blockbuster major release in February, but maybe I've got like a novella that's attached to a series. That might be a great time to bring it out there, just bump your numbers up a bit, but not blow an entire like major release in February. Look out for Easter weekend. People are generally pretty busy on Easter weekend. And then look out for Memorial Day weekend in the US, obviously, and then July 4th. That weekend is a problem too. But it dips. February and March is probably a really low point in the year. And then April, May, it starts to pull out. But look out for those really nice weekends in May, because really nice weekends late May, early June especially, or I guess maybe a little bit, maybe even all of May. People are outside on the weekend, right? They're going places. They're like breathing the fresh air, so they're not reading quite as much. So that's another time you don't want to do a lot of releases as well. So there's the rundown, just so that it's sort of out there in the ether a little bit more. And I think it's good to kind of think about it. And also just like, look at the calendar when you're planning a release date. Look at where the holidays are. Like look for those 4-day weekends. Think about your readers and what they'll be doing. And maybe if you do want to release like right before American Thanksgiving and your readership is heavily female, you could be like, you could run like an ad campaign, like, why don't you take it easy this year? Order some catering and read a book, kind of thing. Like, don't be afraid to kind of like turn expectations on their head and offer people, like, say, like, take the leisure time, you deserve it. It's always a good angle to play. All right, Pippa, Pippa says my July has been awful so far, but just took an uptick today. I've seen 2 Julys for people thus far. A lot of people took a really big hit on July 4th, and conversions on their ads have been really slow to climb back up. And some people didn't take a hit at all. They just like soldiered on through July. It was kind of wild. Um, I definitely do think that I've definitely seen in the last 4 to 5 days, almost everybody's climbing back up again. So it's been really good. So hopefully that continues for me, for you, and for me as well. Actually, I've been seeing an uptick on my ads because I didn't work on them that much being on vacation. I just sort of was like, they're profitable, they're not as profitable. I'll just let it ride, and sure enough, they come back. So I'm glad that yours did as well. Um, One thing I do want you to remember is that the KU rate is generally a lot lower in July and August. So just kind of keep that in mind that while people might be doing a lot of reading while they're out on the beach or on vacation or something like that, the rate goes down. I can't say for sure if it will this year, but historically it always has. The lowest rates on record were last July or last August, one of the two. So that's totally a thing that happens. But how's everything going for people? Does anybody have any issues they're running into? Any concerns? Any problems? Anything they're excited about that they want to talk about that's working great for you, or a win of some sort? I love seeing that sort of thing, so I'm happy to chat about that too. I feel like I've been staring at the wrong microphone or wrong camera. I've got two of them right side by side because I use two different computers for different things, and I realized I was looking at the wrong one. But yeah, I'd love to hear what's going on for folks. We have a couple of cool things going on. Let's see. It's funny, Mike. The comments are really far behind. In this one screen, but not in the other. It's bizarre. Hopefully that doesn't start auto-playing. Okay, good. It didn't. Let's see. Subject of releases. I do every 3 months on the last day of the month. I can't say it's much affected by holidays. Yeah, you might not see, if you've got like a really solid readership that's coming with it, they're like ride or die, then you might not see that much of a change if you're doing that sort of thing. Last day of the month is an interesting idea too, because in theory, you're likely to be releasing right on a payday, give or take a bit. So there's actually some logic to that too. It's not a bad plan. The one I would look out for though is the week after American Thanksgiving. That is a rough week to try to run. I mean, if you're just going to do a release and kind of hope that you're right, like let's say it's book 2, right? Book 2 is always a low release book. You focus hard on book 1. Book 2, you just kind of like put it out there to the people that are in it. Book 3, you maybe do a bigger release and you discount book 1 or something like that. So the book 2, maybe I wouldn't worry so much, but if it was a book 3 or book 1, I would not release that the week after American Thanksgiving in that week. That's true. You do get paid sooner for pre-orders. That part is nice. Yeah. I mean, the 90-day thing really is a good cadence. And a lot of us who used to, be back in the old days where that was the maximum pre-order length you could do. Remember that 90-day cadence. Of course, I went crazy and did it a lot faster than that, but that is absolutely a thing. So we're doing there. So there are some changes though. Let's see if I have any messages from Jill. Then she's like, "Now, don't forget about talking about this thing," or she gives me some thoughts. We're doing a class on Friday. No, wow, not Friday. Sunday, on the new Flex ad format and other changes in Facebook and how to kind of like do your best with Facebook right now. I'm going to put that link in. All right. This is the link to sign up for the class that we're doing on Sunday. It is be about a 2-hour class. It starts at noon Eastern. After you sign up, you'll be on our list and you'll get an email with the link probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. And it'll be recorded. So if you want to sign up for it and you can't make it live, it'll still be recorded. And the recording might not make it to you on Sunday, though. You might not get it till Monday because it has to compile and then upload to a share. And sometimes that can actually take a really long time. I'm going to be talking about the new Flex format. I'm going to be talking about some of the other changes they've made, like the whole instant form thing they're doing. about some of the different restrictions people are seeing on Flex, because Flex ad format is not behaving the same for everyone. And then talking about some of the defaults that Facebook's applied. I've talked about some of those recently, but I'm kind of going to have this as like one big like, here's the changes that are happening mid 2024 on the Facebook platform. Here's what they mean, and here's how you can work around them, and what you can do to sort of be prepared for what may or may not come in the future. I was hoping that by this weekend, Facebook would have finished the rollout of Flex and picked out exactly how they're going to do it, but it does not appear. Well, they haven't finished it yet, but I'm pretty sure I know which way they're going with it, because they've there are some accounts that have Dynamic Creative completely disabled, and Flex works a particular way, and I suspect that's the way they're going to settle on. Otherwise, they wouldn't actually. The messaging, the wording they're using in those accounts has like a level of finality to it that leads me to believe that those are the ones where Facebook's made that decision. But in some regards, I really liked what they're doing with Flex. Because it makes sense. You know, it's another way of, it's like, why can I have 5 text options on the ad, but I can't put in 5 images on the ad without going back into the ad set and turning on Flex? You know, it's been kind of weird. We're also going to talk about like some of the issues that are happening with the AI text that they have, and a whole bunch of other things. So you guys can get in on all of that too. Let me just make sure the link's good. It is. Yeah, and it's cheap too. It's only $47 to get in on that class. It'll be a 2-hour class, pretty cheap. I'm gonna be talking about, like I said, the state of ads at this point, 2024, tips and tricks that you can use, how to measure your ads, and how to like get Facebook to do what you want. Plus, I'm probably also going to fold in some of the stuff about the changes they're making in behind the scenes in how audiences are working. Across ad sets as well, because I think that's pretty important too. So I think like, I have another thing I want to talk about, but does anyone else have any questions or thoughts or anything? Anything you want to say? I'm here for it. There's something on the tip of my brain that I was going to talk about. Totally unrelated news. I'm getting a neurology consult for someone who deals with memory loss after COVID, because I definitely have some memory loss. I feel like there's the things that I do all the time, like Facebook ads. I actually remember them super well, and I don't forget things. But there's so many other things I'm forgetting, and like events well in the past, I'm really starting to misremember a lot. And apparently, at 46, you're not supposed to have that happen. So, I'm a little bit fearful too, because Alzheimer's runs in the family. So, and the look that my doctor gave me when I said that was like concerning. So yeah, but that's why sometimes I might forget what I was going to say. But I like, everybody does that to a certain extent. So sometimes I feel like I worry about it too much. The class is at noon Eastern Standard Time. So noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That'll be, I think we're 5 hours off GMT. So that'll be like 5 o'clock GMT. That's when that'll happen. Oh my God, yeah, Lucy, the energy thing is legit. I've had COVID 4 or 5 times. I'm not sure which. Because the very first time was before you could get tested easily. But I've tested positive for COVID 4 times. And it sucks. But yeah, so the other thing that we've got going on is we're also doing an advanced Facebook ads workshop. This I think actually is the best buy that we have. I was trying to think of another way to say it, to be honest, but I couldn't. And I ended up saying just Best Buy, where you go to buy TVs and stuff. But no, it's the best bang for the buck. And I thought it was, it's a monthly thing here. I just clicked the link and it says this is $275 a month. I forget how many payments that is though. Maybe Jill can pop in and say. Because I thought it was a different number than that. See, the memory issue. But I think it's just 2 payments of $275 for this class, or maybe it's 3. Please, Jill, save me. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the class, and hopefully Jill will save me on what the pricing is. But it's going to be 6 weeks, and by 6 weeks I mean it's going to be 8 weeks, because I always go long on these things. It's going to be 8 weeks of training on advanced tactics in Facebook ads, things from reader magnets, things from retargeting ads, how to do awareness, how to do sales ads, how to run ads to a Kickstarter if you want to do them. We're going to be talking about how to test, and hone ads, and then prune ads down, and how to really maximize your conversion, and then also build an ad portfolio that goes wide, where you have lots of ads running, because every ad will eventually die. And if you've only got 2 or 3 ads running, chances are it's possible that 2 of them or even 3 of them could tank within a period of a couple of weeks, and you'll see your revenues plummet and your costs stay up. And nobody wants that. So you want to actually you want to go not too deep and a lot wider with ads, a lot of tactics like that. And there's going to be a lot of, because it's a longer program, there's going to be a lot of making ads and then seeing ads and honing ads and refining things as well. So we'll have all of that in there too. And no response from Jill. We're using a new system for handling the payments, and this one just doesn't say how many payments there are. But hopefully I can get that information from Jill, and maybe she can just give it to me, and I'll put a comment on this post or make a new post. You might also have a post up in the group about it too. I am still really playing catch up after coming back from vacation as these things go. So that's kind of affected me too. Oh, Danica's looking it up. Thank you. Thank you, Danica. There's so many cute posts from Jill. None of these are the ones I want. Oh, she put the picture of us up from the train on our group. That was a really fun thing. There's a rail line up in New Hampshire that was shut down actually a little bit over 50 years ago, and so this scenic, it's been turned into the Conway Scenic Railway, and they have a whole bunch of different rides you can go on. One of them actually goes up partway up a mountain, and they have they serve dinner in the dinner cars and everything like that, and it's like a 6-hour round trip, and they go nice and slow so you can see all the scenery and everything. But nothing in here that I'm seeing that says what the price on this is. So she's talking a lot about the class on Sunday, but I don't see any posts about the longer one. It's almost full though too. But you can also always just reach out to Jill. Say, Mal was talking about this advanced Facebook class. It's 8 weeks long. Tell me more, and Jill can fill you in. But the reason why I really like it the most is you're going to get Q&A once a week with me, live, looking at your ads with other people. You're going to learn not just from me, but you're going to learn from the questions other people ask and the problems they run into. Because that's one of the things. If you have if you're working with me directly or anyone on my team, we're going to be looking at the problems you're facing right now. But a year from now, you might have another situation happening. You might be trying to do a different thing with a series. You might run into a snag you've never hit before, something like that. So being in this group setting, you're going to see people encounter scenarios that you have not yet encountered and may not encounter during the course of the class. And then that way, 10 months later, you hit this thing, you're like, that's right, person XYZ in the group hit that, and this is what we did to fix it. Or you'll at least know that it's fixable, and you can reach out to me and say, Mal, remember we saw this thing in the class. How did we get around that? So really useful for that sort of thing as well. So definitely look, okay. $697 or payments of $275. Okay. The link I put in was the payments one. So I'm guessing it's a little, if you do the payments, it's going to work out to a little bit more than $697. So you can do the one time, it's better. That's what messed me up. I thought it was in the 600 range, but 275 times 3 is 825. So it's about $128 more if you do the payments. But the link I did is just for the payments. I'm guessing there's probably a different link for the one time, so I'll get that in. But I would love for folks who want to level up their game to join, because if you were to do a consulting program with myself or someone on my team, you'll pay 3 times that much, and you're going to get less actual instruction time, because when we're doing a group thing, I can instruct a lot of people at the same time, and it's a better bang for the buck for everybody. So definitely down for that. Like I said, I think we have 20 people in there, and we're probably going to close it down around 25 people or so. It starts in September, so that's something I'm super stoked about. It is, I think it's my favorite, or it's tied for my most favorite thing that I teach of all the classes I do. It's definitely up there. The other one I love doing is the genre and trope one, and really getting into fine tuning how you present your genre and trope to readers, blurb, cover, title, the whole thing. And then plan out like a long-term marketing of the series and whatnot. That's also a really fun thing. We'll probably be doing that again in the fall. So perfect. Danica had the link. Thank you so much. I thought I was all prepared. I had the links and then I clicked it and like, wait, this is not the one I want. Thank you, Danica. You have saved the day. I don't know if I have much else to talk about right now. I'm also like really parched for some reason, which you wouldn't expect because the humidity is, well, I guess because the humidity is only 45 in here. It's been like super humid lately, though. I'm sure if you're in North America, you've been experiencing that as well. Although I guess in some places it's just hot and dry, but on the coast it's hot. Like you go outside and you swim to your car pretty much kind of thing, right? But I'm glad you guys showed up to have a little hangout with me. I hope for those of you who are coming to the class, either on Sunday or later this fall, we do an advanced one. I look forward to seeing you. I will be back next week. This was sort of like just like, hey, I'm back. I'm getting myself back in order thing. But next week I'm going to have some fun topics to go over. I've got a couple of things brewing I want to chat about. If you have any questions about the classes that we're doing or any programs we have or working with us, feel free to reach out to me. And if you have just any general questions at all about like, hey, Mal, I'm running this weird issue in Facebook, or how do you do this thing? Drop a line or put a post in the Facebook group and just ask if, ping Danica or ping Jill, and they'll reach out to me. I have access to so many Facebook accounts that my feeds, my notifications in Facebook are unnavigable. So I might not see it if you ping me directly, but if you ping Jill or Danica, they'll see it and they'll reach out to me. Or like I said, you can just message me directly. Just look me up. Just look up Mallory Cooper on Facebook and you'll find me. Or click. You're watching it. Chances are you're watching on Facebook. Some of you are watching on YouTube. But if you're watching on Facebook, you just click me and reach out and just drop me a message. I'd be happy to answer any questions or help anybody with anything that they need. And if it's beyond the scope of what I can do in a message, I'll let you know. But it doesn't hurt to ask. And like my thing I really want to do, the whole reason I do this is because, learning how to properly market my books changed my life. And I want to help other people with that as much as possible. So I'm always here to lend a hand and people get their ads rolling better. All right. Oh, wait. Emma says, me and Felicia are at the testing images phase. We thought my trope image may not do well because of the excess text. It's doing okay right now. Yeah, the amount of text you get on an image has been getting better. It used to be the kiss of death. Now it's working better, although they still can be more expensive. That is the downside. Like as much as I like the improved conversion you get by having text. If your image can like speak volumes on its own, you almost always get a cheaper cost per click with just a pure image, but it doesn't always convert better. So it has to be like the perfect image that blends perfectly with your book. It's not an easy thing to achieve. And a lot of times it's easier just to put an image with a bunch of text on it and just sort of like know that a variety of images can work versus having to find like the one perfect image. So that's awesome. Oh, what's the link for the cover creator? You mean like the 3D cover creator? That is DIY book covers, I think. Yeah, DIYbookcovers.com/3D mockups. I'll put the link in here. This is actually made by Derek. I think his name's Derek. I always forget his name. And I read it multiple times. Yeah, Derek Murphy. Derek Murphy, he's an author, actually. I've met him a number of times, and he made this site. They offer a bunch of different things, but one of them is this free 3D cover creator that's ridiculously easy to use, and I use it all the time. And it's fabulous. So yeah, you have to use that. Oh, the designer. Oh, well, the designer that did most of my books is Andrew Dobell. His last name is Dobell. He did most of my book covers. And his website is Creative Edge. I think it's .co.uk. Oops. Oh, it's got a hyphen. Nope, that's not it. Why can't I find it? There are so many things called Creative Edge. There, I'll find it this way. Oh, it's Creative Edge Studios, because he actually also used to be a wedding photographer. There, that's the guy who does my book covers, if that's what you were looking for. And a bunch of my covers are in his on his banner, which is cool. He's done a lot of Michael Angeli's covers. He's done just acres and acres of covers. Oh, that's a cool one that he did. There's some cool sci-fi ones I haven't seen before of his that I really like. Nice. I don't know who it could be that's inexpensive. I mean, there's always Deranged Doctor. They're good cover designers, and I think they're pretty inexpensive. So maybe that's might have been who I mentioned at one point. I've recommended them a number of times because I think if you need a good cover, cheap and quick, they're one of the few that can do all three. Oh, and another cover designer I really like is Rebecca Haskell. She's fabulous too. I have no idea what her prices are. I just know she does great work, mainly because her husband Jeffrey Haskell writes in the same genre as me, and so we know each other for ages. So that might be what you're looking for too. But you just throw a post in the group asking too, like, hey, in this genre, who's got a good cheap cover designer? I sometimes do covers, but I don't have time for them right now, unfortunately. But I do them every now and then because I have this creative itch where sometimes I have to do art, get that out. But right now I don't have time for any. Oh, cool! I'm glad you do. Yeah, she's great, and she's good people too, which I love as well. All right, I'm gonna jet because it's getting really hot in here. I need to like go jump in the pool or something like that. But I'll see you guys around. See you next week. And if you're coming to the class on Sunday, I'll see you then. Have yourselves a fabulous time.